If you are a busy healthcare professional, you are increasingly facing busier and busier clinics, more demanding patients, increased regulation and burden on the way that you practice, challenges with insurance companies. And oftentimes, the last thing you want to do is add more things to your plate that are kind of mind-numbing tasks when it comes to spending time on social media, to post, to edit videos, to go comment and engage, to make sure you're on all the platforms. And so there is an opportunity to help outsource some of that. And we're going to talk about what types of things you can outsource and potentially when you might start thinking about that.
And welcome back to another episode of MedCreator 101, your go-to resource for tools and strategies to grow your social media presence as an HCP. I'm Mimi Banks, founder and CEO of MB Social, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Portela, dermatologist, dermfluencer extraordinaire, and now officially podcaster.
We're just growing the resume, the CV.
We sure are. How many podcasts do you have?
This one, and then soon we will be launching the Skinfluence podcast.
Amazing. I love it. So again, before we start, a few questions to get to know Dustin. Social time or alone time?
Social time. I'm outgoing.
So you're an extrovert?
Yeah.
And this one's something interesting. Travel to the past or to the future?
I would have to say travel to the past if I could go one way or the other. If you go into the future, I just feel like you don't know what's going to happen. If you go into the past, you could make some pretty strategic moves when it comes to investments. So
Totally. I'm thinking like my high school self, like what would I do differently? Who would I be?
yeah, I mean, if I could take the knowledge back that I have now, I'd be buying Google and Bitcoin and
I was just going to say Bitcoin, right? Exactly. All of the tech, maybe Zoom.
yep, I would use that strategically.
Interesting. So a man of strategy, speaking of which, today we're going to focus on being strategic with your team. How can we help you be efficient when you're growing and can't do it all? What are the options that you have and what can you outsource?
This is an important topic, and it is something, if you are a busy healthcare professional, you are increasingly facing busier and busier clinics, more demanding patients, increased regulation and burden on the way that you practice, challenges with insurance companies. And oftentimes the last thing you want to do is add more things to your plate that are kind of mind-numbing tasks when it comes to spending time on social media, to post, to edit videos, to go comment and engage, to make sure you're on all the platforms. And so there is an opportunity to help outsource some of that. And we're going to talk about what types of things you can outsource and potentially when you might start thinking about that.
That's a great point. So if we think about how social media is set up, what we can do is look at the different ways in which that a team or somebody can help you. Because I know content is very personal, specifically as a physician or a medical professional. Content is about you. So speaking from experience, Dustin, can you walk us through what you started to outsource and when? And I think it started with us.
Yeah, the first hire that I made was working with a social media manager. Then that relationship evolved into full talent management. And I was still doing most of the day-to-day on my own, even though I wasn't managing my inbox or negotiating with brands, but I was the one that was filming everything, that I was editing everything, that I was solely responsible for commenting when people would ask questions, for checking my DMs and all of those things. And it can be a lot of work because we talk about the 24-hour news cycle. It's the same on social media. It never rests. A portion of your audience is always going to be online, leaving comments, asking questions, let alone engaging with other people on social media. When your colleagues are posting, it's nice to have your comments pop up on their post. Their followers can see your comments and maybe they'll come follow you. So there's a lot that can be done on social media. And if you're trying to do all of it yourself, it can quickly become unmanageable.
And let's just for context, Dustin has over 4 million followers across channels. So when we're talking about volume, there's a tremendous amount of volume in a lot of different places. So thinking about a manager and areas in which that people can help you, it can be anything from content creation, having someone film or edit for you, scheduling content, what you just mentioned, engaging with your audience, tracking performance metrics. And I think there's even more.
There's so many things that you could consider doing. So when you are first starting out, you're going to be posting on these platforms. And even before you consider hiring somebody, there's a lot of tools out there where you could subscribe to it and you could upload your content to that tool and link it with your Instagram profile, your Facebook profile, and it could post it across multiple platforms whenever you tell it to. And that could be a good time saver for you initially, where maybe once a week you sit down and you schedule out all of your posts for a week. But even that can start to become daunting because you're spending, 30 to 60 minutes scheduling all of those, uploading all of those, and those tools don't always link with all of the platforms. And so that is a thing you can consider, but ultimately you might want to hire somebody to start working on these things for you. And I think that there's different kind of levels that you can look at on there. And I know colleagues do it a number of different ways, and I've tried many different solutions myself.
It's a good point. We use scheduling tools, but it's, for example, if you have a reel or a TikTok, you can't choose the audio. You can only do it on somebody's phone. But I think scheduling is a very good way to outsource. Another one is engaging. So maybe that there's somebody that can go in and help you like comments. Now, they're not going to respond for you because they're not a medical professional, and quite frankly, they're not you. But that's one way that they can do it. The second is have somebody who's helping you manage your inbox, because they can filter through to see, do you get brand deals? Do you have a celebrity? Do you have somebody big reaching out to you? There's a level of trust there, because if that's your personal inbox, also they may see conversations that you're having with friends or colleagues where they should be discreet. But that is a way also for somebody to help you.
So after MB Social, ultimately my travel schedule was pretty intense. I was working a lot in the clinic. I was the sole physician in the clinic. So I was doing all the surgery, all of the aggressive laser procedures, seeing 40 patients a day. And the next hire that I made after working with MB Social was an executive assistant. For me, it made sense to have an EA to come into my office. Now, some people are going to do great with a virtual assistant, and some people want that person in their office. For me, it made sense. I was the practice owner. I could create space, and this person could come in. They could manage my emails apart from brand deals. So they're connected to my personal inbox, and they can manage my schedule when companies are requesting meetings, when I'm traveling to a conference and I'm getting dinner invitations and all of those kinds of things. If I need personal errands run, they could do that for me. I've become a little high maintenance for a kid from a small Idaho town, where I don't know the last time I took my own vehicle in for an oil change, or dropped off my own dry cleaning, because I've hired somebody to do that. But I was at the point where the income that I was generating on social media made sense, where I could free up more of my time. And this individual signed an NDA because there's potential to be privy to emails that come in from family or see some of my income or finances. And that was an important step for somebody that I'd be working with that would have access to my credit card, for example. And so that was an incredibly helpful hire to me. And at that time, I was still editing most of my own videos. And the next thing that I did is find somebody to help edit my videos. And I've gone through many different editors. And most of the time, I'm going to do a short-term trial with somebody where I understand what they're charging me per video or hourly rate to work on videos, and then start with short form content and then long form content. Even to this day, I do my own editing for brand deals, because if I submit something to a brand and they need a revision, they need a change on it, it for me doesn't work as well to then have to communicate to my editor and make sure that change is done right. Or especially if I have to re-record something, it's easier for me to do that. And so the brand deals are still edited by me, but most of my other content is edited by one of two outside editors, depending on what the content is. I send it to one or the other. One is local, one is in Nepal, actually, who I connected with on Instagram. And you can find many great editors by connecting with people on Instagram or using tools like Fiverr or Upwork. And you're going to be able to pay these people what is a great salary for their country. And it's usually going to be cheaper than somebody in the United States. So video editing takes a lot of time. And it's one of the things that outsourcing that has freed up a lot of my time. As I continue to get busier, The next hire that we made was somebody to be an in-house social media manager. So they have access to all the accounts. They signed an NDA, and they make sure that whenever I create content, I send it to the editor sends it back to my social media manager, and they get it posted on all the different platforms. It just got to the point where my assistant was doing that, and then their job became just busier and busier. So we added another team member. And then as we look into the future, we're now starting to look at another employee that could manage affiliate deals, because many companies you can work with on an affiliate basis where you're passionate about a particular product, or you're just an Amazon associate and you want to make sure that when you talk about a product, that links are available for followers to purchase that, and you might get a small commission on that. So that's kind of the way that I've approached outsourcing some of these different jobs. And largely it's been focused on freeing up my time to continue to be an effective clinician, a good husband, a good father, and to also just be able to have recreational time and enjoy my life.
And I think that there's something to be said about starting slow, seeing what works for you, seeing how you're organized, and finding trust or finding the right people who can help you. The other thing that you might want to do is take your assistant or somebody in your office that happens to understand social media. I know a lot of people use a front office manager to help with social media. So sometimes it's starting small before you make the full-time hire. This way you can evaluate how you work, what you need, and how much time is actually spent on your account.
That's exactly right. And you also have to be mindful of a lot of other things when you hire somebody. If they're going to be working regular hours for you and they're a local employee, you're going to have to be concerned about running payroll, doing payroll taxes. Do you need to have a retirement account for them? In my case, as a practice owner, we have a 401k for the practice. And the regulations are such that because I own a business with a 401k, I have to offer that through my social media business. And so that's something that I had to set up as well. Then you consider unemployment insurance and all of those different things. So ultimately, if you are going to hire somebody, it can be very advantageous to hire somebody who potentially isn't local that you can pay as a 1099 contractor, where you don't have to worry about the payroll taxes and about the health insurance and unemployment benefits and all of those different things.
The other thing that we've done when we have small task-oriented jobs is look for local interns. So interns in your city who go to, could be an art school, a creative school, studying marketing. Even now, you can major in social media. People love to work on social media, and there's a real hunger for it. So you can find local content creators or editors or people who are majoring in graphic design, and maybe even work with them to give them that practical experience.
That can be really helpful. And many of the local colleges have work requirements for people that are getting their degree, and they may need to come and work an internship. And whether that's paid or unpaid, that's usually up to you. But there's a lot of opportunity to find good help, and you can pick as little or as much as you want to outsource.
So let's think about outsourcing. You can look on Instagram, you can look on Fiverr, on Upwork, your local schools. Anywhere else that you would suggest finding people?
Word of mouth can be a great way also. So when I was looking for my executive assistant, I was just talking with a friend, and the kind of a friend of a friend type of situation said, I think that this person would be a great assistant for you. And so I was able to interview them. It was a good fit. They've been with me now going on 3 years. And so I didn't, necessarily find that person through traditional means. It was just, I casually mentioned to somebody, man, I'm getting swamped. I need to hire somebody. And they had a connection. So that was a great opportunity.
They are a great assistant.
Yeah.
Great team member, indeed. So if you have any questions about resources, how we can help you, or you found a resource that you think is invaluable, let us know.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of MedCreator 101. We know that your time is valuable. So one, we thank you for spending a little bit of it with us. And also, this episode can help you to know when you can start to outsource tasks. I love the quote, do only the things that only you can do. And as your time becomes more valuable, you'll find those opportunities to let other people help you with those tasks. Important things to remember are your own privacy and confidentiality. Somebody working directly with you may need to sign a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA. Some of the things that you can outsource include daily tasks around the office, social media management and posting, and video editing or videography. If you guys have questions, drop them to us on Instagram, and we'll see you on the next episode.